Okay, so with that, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Regular meeting Tuesday, November 17th at 10 o'clock. And just so everyone knows, Supervisor Humphrey's in Globe, Supervisor Martin's on the phone, and I am in the office in Young today. So with that being said, what we'll do is, Lisa, would you lead us in the pledge this morning? And Dave Rogers will do the invocation afterwards.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lisa.
Heavenly Father, in our hearts we plan our course, but we pray that you establish our steps. I pray that we seek you for advice. Let us not make decisions based upon what we know, but let us act based upon your wisdom. Please guide us, Lord. We place this meeting in your hands. We place our hearts and our minds in your hands so that you may direct us. Amen.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, so we'll start this morning with presentations 2A, presentation regarding the Community Development Department's code enforcement and wastewater divisions. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Last February, I came before you and spoke about building safety and planning and zoning. Today, I'd like to finish up with community development and talk about code enforcement and the wastewater divisions. As you know, community development operates under the one-stop shop concept, so both code enforcement and wastewater divisions service the public in the same buildings as building safety and planning and zoning offices, both in Globe and in Payson. First, about code enforcement, the sentence in the definition on code enforcement that it's the prevention, detection, investigation, and enforcement of violations of adopted codes and ordinances regulating public nuisance, public health, safety and welfare, business activities, and building standards and land use. That's quite a mouthful. But with a combined experience of 21 years in code enforcement, the two code compliance and enforcement specialists, with one located in Globe and one in Payson, have the daunting task of protecting the public and enforcing the county's rules and regulations. As you can imagine, property owners are not always happy to receive a visit from them. The specialists are always courteous and professional and willing to take the time to educate. Education is a large part of their job. At the end of September, there were 104 active open complaints. We had 21 in Globe and 83 in Payson. And well over 200 cases have been opened and closed in the first 3 quarters of 2020. Now, this division has a goal of 7 days from the date a complaint is received to verify if it is actually a violation. They are currently averaging 4.6 days and only missed their goal a couple of times this year, and that was mainly due to the pandemic. From the graphs in the PowerPoint, you can see that the southern section of the county, that junk and dry weeds and brush make up most of those complaints, while in the northern section, it's building without permits and dry weeds and brush. 13% of the complaint cases so far have been heard by the hearing officer. I attribute this low percentage to staff's educational efforts and working diligently with the violators, plus the willingness of property owners in the county to comply once they are made aware of the violation. A couple years ago, we started sending fines awarded by the county by the hearing officer to a collection agency. The agency was recently successful in obtaining a payment of $400 from a property owner. This is our first successful recovery, and we look forward to more as time goes on. Looking ahead, we have a plan in place to promote swifter compliance with violations for dried weeds and brush. The prolonged drought conditions have increased the public's concern regarding the potential threat of a wildfire, which results in an increase in complaints during the months after the spring weeds have dried out. We will schedule code enforcement hearings monthly during March through May in an attempt to get faster compliance to remove the fire hazards. Staff will continue to seek properties that are a good candidate for our Clean and Lean program, and we will continue to work closely with the County Attorney's Office on difficult cases. We value their legal input and appreciate their willingness to attend hearings where the defendant is being represented by an attorney. And then jumping into wastewater, again, the PowerPoint definition is, let's see, that wastewater is a water generated in a home or business from toilets, sinks, bathing, and washing. I like to think this is just a byproduct of us living our lives, basically, is what wastewater is. With a staff of 3 and a combined experience of over 61 years, wastewater plays a vital role in enabling growth in the county while protecting the water supply and the environment. Wastewater is delegated by the board back in 2001 to create an effective septic program. Wastewater has involved in a highly respected guardian, tasked with protecting the health of the public and the water they drink. 4 ways they do this is through soils testing, septic system, plan review, and inspections and investigation of sewage surfacing complaints. The importance of a soils test cannot be stressed enough. A septic system designed to the type of soil ensures not only that the system will function and serve the property for years, but protect the health of those who use it and who reside nearby. Plan review of both conventional and alternative septic systems is also important. An improperly designed system is doomed to fail early and most likely will lead to soil contamination, polluting of the water table, and a waste of the property owner's money. Inspections of the septic system is also critical. A well-designed system for the type of soil will be ineffective if it is not properly installed as per the approved plan. And investigating the surfacing of sewage is probably the least liked task. While code enforcement could investigate these types of complaints, wastewater has graciously accepted this unpleasant assignment. Working with the property owner in a courteous but firm manner, wastewater has proven a history of quick compliance. Wastewater also handles septic tank replacements, cesspool determinations, gray water systems, and new well applications. Continuing education and training of both staff and contractors is not only important but required. Contractors and designers who attend trainings and pass a test are placed on a list that property owners can request and is made available on our webpage on the county's website. This takes away some of the guesswork on who to hire to design and install their septic system, since the names listed are qualified to do so in Gila County. Training and testing are done every 2 years to stay on the list. The chart in the packet shows that there's been a 10% increase in the number of soil inspections this year so far versus last year, and while the other categories are showing mixed results. Wastewater manager Jake Garrett is constantly seeking ways to improve the division's efficiency and impact on the contractor's time. This year he instituted a change in procedures for soil testing inspections that resulted in reduced inspection times. ADQ requires 3 observation holes be dug. We now allow 2 of those holes to be dug prior to our arrival, and the 3rd in the process when we show up. This has resulted in some tests taking less than an hour and a half to complete. Jake also designed the alternative septic system for the new animal control facility out at the fairgrounds in Globe, resulting in a financial savings for the county. We do have a hurdle ahead for wastewater soon. Swana, who has been with the environmental engineering specialist for the last 17 years, is retiring next month. With the help of HR, we are actively seeking her replacement. In the meantime, Mr. O'Driscoll has offered his staff that have sanitarian certifications or in the process of obtaining one to assist us if needed. In the meantime, Jake will be evaluating our procedures to see what can be combined or eliminated in order to continue to provide the services our customers need and in the time frame they expect. And finally, Jake will continue to work with ADQ to formalize a new delegation agreement so that it may be submitted to the board for approval. The pandemic has slowed this process at the state level. I will end this presentation by saying the county is fortunate to have such an experienced and dedicated staff, not only in code enforcement and wastewater, but all the divisions of community development. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Scott, thank you for that. Mr. Humphrey, you have any questions?
I just have one question, and Scott, you said that you have increased in soil inspections, and my question is in that for new construction, the inspections, or is that for failing systems that our inspections are rising?
I would say mostly for new construction would be
That's
the higher
what I wanted to
percentage.
hear.
I don't know the numbers, but yeah, it would be mostly new.
No, good, because like I said, when you're doing more testing, it's like, okay, why are you doing more testing? New construction, great.
Yeah.
Infrastructure, great things, not things falling apart. So,
Right, yeah.
So that was a question I had, and I just want to say, thank you very much for for all that you've done and helping us with changing, code enforcement to help on some of these inspections and stuff where we need a little extra help by changing code enforcement. I think that helps some too. And so I appreciate all of you guys' work in that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tim. Tommy, do you have any comments or questions for Scott?
Mr. Chair, mine was enough like Supervisor Humphreys for me to have got the answer I was looking for. I'm going to need to actually go through this a time or two to see if there's anything else I would like answered for me, and I'll get with Scott privately on that. But otherwise, Scott, thank you for the information very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tommy. Yeah, good job, Scott. I know your department is very busy, and it seems to only increase, it looks like, as things go along right now. And hopefully we can, go forward with getting you some help up there and whatever you need. So thanks for everything you guys do. And if you would, pass that along to your folks, I'd really appreciate it.
Will do, sir.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay. Going on to number 3A, public hearings, information, discussion, action to approve, deny, or modify conditional use permit application number CUPP 2008-001 to allow a 3-story, 42-foot tall building height for a single-family residence and to allow for a 3-story, 32-foot in height building for an accessory dwelling unit, both measured from grade level to the mean height between the eaves and roof ridge in residential 1L use district in the Zane Gray Ranch subdivision northeast of Payson, Arizona. Scott, you're it again.
Thank you. Good morning again, Mr. Supervisor and members of, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I appreciate this opportunity to present for consideration a conditional use permit application to allow a 3-story, 40-foot tall single-family residence, and in addition, on the same 4.95 acre property, a 3-story, 30-foot tall accessory dwelling unit with an observation deck. This is in the Zane Green Ranch subdivision northeast of Payson. During the review process, it was determined that both these structures exceeded the maximum 30-foot building height measured from grade to the truss means and 2 stories allowed in the residential 1L use district. Per the Gila County zoning ordinance, the property owner may apply for a conditional use permit to exceed the maximum height and the number of stories. The Zangray Ranch subdivision is located a mile or so off the road on the way to the Tidal Fish Hatchery. It consists of a 5-lot subdivision and surrounded by National Forest land. To fulfill the requirement of the Gila County zoning ordinance, the applicant held a neighborhood meeting on August 27th of 2020. The owners of the other 4 lots in the subdivision are all in favor of the CUP being approved. To date, staff has not received any other comments from the public regarding this application. Staff feels that the additional height and story of both structures would have minimal negative impact on the neighborhood due to the property's topography and the remoteness of the area. Since both structures will be used as residences, it is compatible with the R1L use district and the subdivision, and again, no opposition from the neighbors has been received. Staff recommended approval of the CUP to the P&Z Commission, and at their October 15, 2020, the Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the CUP. This meeting was noticed as a public hearing in both the Payson Roundup and the Silver Belt newspapers, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Scott. Tommy, do you have any questions for Scott on this?
Mr. Chair, I don't just yet.
Okay, thanks, Tommy. Tim?
No, I have no questions because the neighbors didn't have any. And, one of the questions I had when you get like 10 feet over what it should have been, I was thinking about firefighters and stuff, which they've had an opportunity to voice their opinion if they had any issues in anything like that. So, I have no questions and comment again on the height. Scott, thank you for working forward to work on the height policy to make it a language better understood by everybody. So we don't keep running into these height issues. So thank you very, very much.
Same goes with me, Scott. I look forward to that new policy to address this. So I appreciate your guys' help on this. So with that, I'll open the public hearings. And Cheryl, you have a gentleman in Payson. Did he wish to speak or just answer questions if there are any?
He's just here to answer questions if there are any.
Okay, Cheryl, thanks. And do we have anybody in Globe?
No, we do not.
Okay, so I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve conditional use permit number CUP P2008-001.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much.
Okay, going on to number 4, regular agenda items. Information, discussion, action to canvass the election results contained in the official canvass of the general election held on November 3rd, 2020 in Gila County, Arizona, and declare the Gila County results official. Eric Mariscal. Eric, you with us? There you are.
Yes,
Good
I
morning.
am. Good morning, Chairman Klein, Supervisors Martin, Supervisor Humphrey. We have a hard copy in front of Supervisor Humphrey here, and I believe you should have received yours via email. So we'll just go ahead and dive right into it right here. And of course, you have your first few pages here, just our table of contents, precinct listing, voter turnouts, total ballot summary, polling place ballots, early ballots, provisional ballots, official write-in candidates, and the Rim Trail Domestic Water Improvement District at the very end there. So from our precinct listing, nothing has changed from the last election. We have a list of our precincts there. The next section, voter turnout. This is the general election statewide turnout. And as of the last update that we had here, we finished off in the number 2 of voter overall turnout in the state of Arizona with 82.52%. Yavapai eclipsed us once again with a 87.63, so they had a really high turnout. But we kind of fell into the category of our turnout in 2016 was 77%. I kind of figured we'd do about 80%, but we went a little bit higher than that, 82.52% overall. And the next page just basically breaks down the percentages, the early vote, polling place, and of course our provisionals and the precincts and how they kind of fell out there. And of course, once again, continuing trend is our early balloting. 67, almost close to 70% of our vote comes from the early ballots that were sent out this time around, which the Gila County Recorder's Office probably, I'm pretty sure they set the record for the most number of earlies that they've ever sent out before. They had quite a huge effort. They had to get out there with all those ballots on time and on target, which they did great at. On the next section, we have our total ballot summary, and this just breaks down all of the individual races that we had on our ballot, from the president all the way down to the propositions. And then, of course, the next section is our precinct detail report. That is there for those individuals who love numbers and love to break it down and see how all the precincts voted and all that particular number crunching that this new report is helping them out with. The next section we have in here is our polling place ballots, just basically a breakdown of what our polling locations did on election day versus the by mail and so forth. The next section we have in here is our early ballots, and this was, like I said, about 67% of our total voting, which was released. And we started processing these a little bit earlier than the last election because we had to. The volume that came through was pretty extensive this time. And of course, it has the breakdown of the early ballots and how they cast. And it takes us to the very last part on that one section, the early ballot rejection summary, which may be of interest. The total number of ballots we received by mail were 23,099. We had 20 of those that were rejected, which left us 23,079 for tabulation. And of course, the reasons were varied. Empty envelopes, no signatures on some, and then the signatures did not match on 10 of them. And then we had one ballot that came back. It was the wrong ballot. And by wrong ballot, in this particular case, it was a Maricopa County ballot in a Gila County envelope. Not quite too sure how that came about. Probably somebody sitting at the table with somebody else, and they just kind of got their ballots confused there. The next section is the provisional ballot. This is how our provisionals came out. And, of course, the section that, the last part of that section is our provisional ballot summary. And the total number received was 356. 179 were rejected, and 177 were verified for tabulation. And once again, there are a variety of reasons. Voted an early ballot, empty affidavits, no identification or sufficient identification, wrong precinct, wrong jurisdiction. We have a lot of cross people coming over from Graham County to vote in Gila and Navajo into Gila and that sort of thing. But the leader of this particular election, which seems to always occur in a presidential year, is the not registered. 122 people were rejected for not being registered but wanting to vote on election day. And so that pretty much takes care of the provisional summary. And one of the final sections in the results of the canvass report are the official write-in candidates. And there were quite a few number of individuals running as write-in candidates this election. And we have the final results there. And at the very bottom, we have a local election that had a write-in for the Globe Unified School District. And that one is also there. And the final section of the canvass report is the Rim Trail Domestic Water Improvement District. And that's basically an amalgamation there of their district votes and their out-of-district votes for those particular offices in the Rim Trail Governing Board. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time of the board.
Thank you, Eric. Tommy, do you have any questions for Eric?
Mr. Chair, I do not right now. Thank you.
And Mr. Humphrey, how about you, Tim?
Yes, no, I have no questions. Thank you very much. Earlier, I just asked him if he was happy with him, and he said yes. And so that's the only question I had, and I asked it early.
Okay. Eric, good job. I'm sure you're just as glad for this to be over as the rest of us. So thanks a lot for everything you do. With that, I'd entertain a motion to accept the canvass results.
Mr. Chair, I move to declare the results of the general election held on November 3rd, 2020 in Gila County as official.
Mr. Chair, I'll certainly second that.
So with the motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Okay, moving on to B, information, discussion, action to authorize the Gila County Local Emergency Planning Commission to accept a pass-through grant award from the Arizona Emergency Response Commission / Emergency Response Fund for fiscal year 2020 through 2021 in the total amount of $11,614.46 for the purchase of hazardous materials response equipment to be used by local fire departments. Michael O'Driscoll, good morning, Michael, you with us?
Good morning, I sure am. Can you hear me, Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Well, good morning, Chairman, members of the board. So this agenda item is to accept a pass-through grant on behalf of the LEPC, which is the Local Emergency Planning Committee. In the state of Arizona, every county is required by law to have a Local Emergency Planning Committee, and Gila County Emergency Management works with the members on this committee. I believe Supervisor Humphrey is part of the committee as well. And the state of Arizona also authorizes through Title 26 for the local emergency planning committees to have access to emergency response fund grants. And that's what this is. So the LAPC chairman, Fire Chief David Staub up in Payson, on behalf of LAPC submitted for this grant to receive hazardous material supplies, which could help all first responders in Gila County. about $11,000 worth, and I'm not going to go into detail about each individual item, but that's what this is. We were, the LAPC was awarded the over $11,000 to purchase this equipment to help the first responders if there's ever hazardous materials response that they need to deploy to. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michael. Good job. Tommy, do you have any questions or comments for Michael?
Just comments, Mr. Chair. I appreciate every piece of getting ready for the future that we do. And I just very much appreciate Michael and that group looking down the road for us. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome, Supervisor.
Mr. Humphrey, how about you?
Yeah, and the LAPC group, you know, the things that they look ahead on to try to keep our community safe is amazing. And thank you, Michael, for finding funding and to help with this $11,614 to help them with hazardous material, first responding equipment, because with our mines and things, we do have some of them hazardous materials moving through our counties. And so I'm great that the LEPC is in place, and I'm grateful for the health department and Michael for you helping fund some of these first responders equipment. So thank you very much. And if that's all, Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to give a motion.
Thank you, Tim, and that goes for me as well, Michael. So thanks to everybody for doing this. And Tim, go ahead when you're ready.
I move to authorize the Gila County Local Emergency Planning Commission to accept a pass-through grant award from the Arizona Emergency Response Commission as presented.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Michael.
Great. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Supervisor Humphrey, for participating on the LFPC. Thank you again.
You betcha.
Moving on to C, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 20-11-01 to accept property from Rita W. Cruz as described in fee number 2020-012841 Gila County Records. Steve? Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. This piece of property is in Cherry Creek, just north of Young. The county owns the bridge and some land around the bridge. We do not own just south of the bridge. The Cruz family representatives approached us earlier this year, asked if we would be interested in taking the property if they deeded it to us. We told them absolutely we would. It will allow us access to the downstream side of the bridge for maintenance and cleaning. This is to accept property from the Cruz family.
Thanks, Steve. Tommy, do you have any comments?
Mr. Chair, anything we can do along these lines, I'm all in favor of it. I appreciate everybody that works on seeing to it that we can, if it's a piece of property, if it's whatever, to keep us in better alignment with fixing some of these ultimate problems. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And Mr. Humphrey?
Yeah, same with me. It'll be great to have property around a bridge which we maintain and the runoff over and through and around. So it would be awful nice to have that piece of property. And if there's no further questions, Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to make a motion.
You bet. Thanks, Steve. Go ahead, Tim.
I move to adopt resolution number 20-11-01.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. On to the next one, Steve. Number D, information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bids number 103020 to purchase two 2021 Ford F-350 XL regular cab chassis, DRW 60-inch cab axle length 4x4 with 8 or 9 foot dump bed with low drop sides and uplifting of snow plows and spreader assemblies as outlined in the solicitation. You're it again, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is to advertise for two basically 1 ton flatbeds with dump beds that we can put chip spreaders and plows on during the snow season. We can remove and use as small crew work trucks, get into tight areas. Money has been budgeted for and planned as capital expenditures. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thanks, Steve. Tommy, you have any questions or comments?
Well, Mr. Chair, I always appreciate us looking for ways to use the equipment we've got in new ways. And this is a case in point. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Mr. Humphrey.
No questions, Mr. Chair, and I'll make a motion when you're ready.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate this. This will be a big help, and I look forward to those trucks. So go ahead, Tim.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bid number 103020.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
On to E, information, discussion, action to set a date of Tuesday, December 15th, 2020, whereby the Board of Supervisors will hold a public hearing to determine if the public interest is served by the town of Star Valley's de-annexation and return to Gila County the certain public right-of-way located on State Highway 260 within the town of Star Valley. And Marion? Good morning, Marion.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Klein and board members. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, good. Thank you. On October 26th, I received a certified letter from Timothy Greer, Town of Star Valley Manager/Attorney, and the letter was dated October 21st. This letter provided notice per statutory requirement, which is ARS Title 9-471.03, that the town adopted its ordinance number 020-05 on October 20th to begin the process of de-annexing and returning to Gila County certain public right-of-way as described in the town's ordinance. This is about 2.7 miles of Highway 260, which is located in the town of Star Valley between Lion Springs Road and Preacher Canyon. So this step of the process is for the board to set a hearing date, and I have suggested the date of Tuesday, December 15th, which is a regular board meeting. Any questions?
Thank you, Marion. Tommy, do you have any questions on this?
Marion, is this around the Preacher Canyon transfer station?
I'm not really certain, Supervisor Martin. I just know it's just between that and the whole purpose.
Okay.
The whole purpose of this is just to give it back to the county, which is allowed statutorily. And I think the whole intent of the town is so that there is no ambiguity with on the town for law enforcement. It would go to DPS.
Okay. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Humphrey, any questions or comments?
I have questions, but I doubt that Marion can answer them, but that's okay because we're going to have a public hearing and then I can answer them then. And so I'd be happy to make a motion when you're ready.
I copy that, Tim. Yeah, I had lots of questions on this one myself, but so thank you. Thank you, Marion, and go ahead with your motion, Tim.
Mr. Chair, I'm
You're welcome. And supervisors, I would like to add that Mr. Greer is intending on being present for the public hearing to answer any of the board's questions.
Yeah, we kind of figured that, Marion. You cross all your T's and dot all your I's usually twice, so I appreciate all you do for us. And Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
I move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, December 15th, 2020, to consider the town of Star Valley's denexation and return to Gila County a certain public right-of-way in the town of Star Valley.
A second, Mr. Chair.
Squeaky.
Thank you, Tommy. Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Marion, and on to number 5, consent agenda action items. Do either one of you guys want to address anything on this or pull off the list?
Hearing none from Supervisor Martin, Mr. Chair, I have none. And if there's no response, I'll be happy to make a motion.
I couldn't get you off the mute. You guys, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I have none.
Okay, we're good. You ready?
I'm ready, Tim, go ahead.
Okay. I move to approve consent agenda items 5A through 5E.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Number 6, call to the public. Cheryl, do we have anybody in Payson for call to the public?
No, sir.
And do we have anybody in Globe, Jackie?
No, and no one on YouTube.
Okay, we're good there then. Thank you. Moving on to 7 for updates. Tommy, do you have any updates for us?
Mr. Chair, I'm just very pleased that we're all returning as partners again. I can't believe my good luck. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tommy. Tim?
Yeah, no, I again would like to thank the voters of District 2 for the overwhelming support. I appreciate it very much, and I'm very thankful.
Thank you, Tim, and me as well. It's really nice to have that election behind us and we can go on. So thank you all for that. And Jackie, do you have anything from the manager standpoint?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have none at this time.
Okay. So with that, if there's nothing else that we need to talk about, I will close this meeting. Thank you all. Appreciate all the work for putting this together. This was good.